good evening and welcome. You're watching the NewsTrack. I'm Rahul. 2611 accused Tahawur Rana is heading to India. There are 65 accused who are in the United States for whom extradition requests have been made, and so far, in totality, according to the Ministry of Home Affairs, there are 178 requests for extradition that India has made globally. This is one of the rare big achievements of the government in pulling one of the fugitives back, bringing him to India. What does this mean for all the other cases that have been pending all this while? We'll look at the Rana case, we'll look at the other 2611 accused, we'll look at the other key accused in other cases. All that and more coming up on the NewsTrack tonight.
End game for 2611 plotter. Tahawur Rana extradited. But what about Hafiz Saeed? Main 2611 masterminds still free. Can India net park big fish? That is a big focus on the NewsTrack.
Key 2611 plotter Tahawur Rana is headed to India. Rana has been extradited 17 years after the deadly Mumbai terror attacks. A special plane from India is bringing Rana from Los Angeles. After landing in India, he'll be produced before a National Investigation Agency court. Here's more.
Tahawur Rana, one of the key conspirators behind the 2611 terror attack in Mumbai, is extradited from the United States. Rana is set to arrive in India Thursday morning, escorted by a team of intelligence and investigative officials. The terrorist is being brought in a special plane which will stop at an undisclosed location en route to New Delhi. High security arrangements are in place at jails in both Delhi and Mumbai. Rana, a Pakistani-origin Canadian businessman, was an active operative of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. He helped David Headley, alias Daud Gilani, with travel documents for his reconnaissance of Mumbai targets.
He in fact facilitated the travels of David Coleman Headley when he came to the targets for the 2008 attack. He arranged his travel plans, visas, everything. So he's a key person. He's a key person who was involved in the conspiracy for the attack.
India Today accessed the NIA charge sheet that reveals Headley and Rana spoke over 200 times during Headley's 8 visits to India before the 2611 attacks.
Today I'm pleased to announce that my administration has approved the extradition of one of the plotters and one of the very evil people of the world, and having to do with the horrific 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack, to face justice in India. So he's going to be going back to India to face justice.
Now, almost 2 decades later, the mastermind is back on Indian soil, and every Indian has one thing on their mind: justice. Bureau Report, India Today.
Tahawur Rana's extradition is a big win against Pakistan. A captain in the Pak Army, Rana was a key figure in planning and coordinating the 2611 Mumbai terror attacks. It was Rana who helped David Coleman Headley, the man who surveyed the terror targets in Mumbai, get entry into India and open a front for the Lashkar. Devesh Singh and Nalini Sharma decode the importance of Tahawur Rana.
The 2611 terror attacks were planned and executed. Captain Tahawur Rana is one of the key co-conspirators of the 2611 attack. The man who provided logistic, financial and other support to David Coleman Headley. Headley conducted extensive surveillance of targets in Mumbai, acting as a link between LET and Pakistan's spy agency ISI. David Headley took Rana's help to travel to India. It was Tahawur Rana who obtained the visa for David Headley by giving wrong information at the Indian consulate in Chicago. David Headley, in conspiracy with Tahawur Rana, started an immigration firm in Mumbai. The company First World International was used as a cover for carrying out LET and Huji operations.
This is the same locality where in 2006, Tahawur Rana set up a branch office of his immigration and visa agency. Between 2006 and 2008, using this agency office of Tahawur Rana, David Coleman Headley made 4 to 5 trips to Mumbai and scouted for various locations. These locations were pinpointed by him using a GPS unit and then shared with the terrorists who carried out the attacks on 26 November 2008.
In June 2006, Headley travelled to Chicago, where he met with Rana and discussed the entire terror plot. Since Rana was a former Pakistan Army captain, Headley assured him of all help through Pakistan ISI handler Major Iqbal.
I am at the office of Tahawur Hussain Rana, the First World Immigration Office at Devon Avenue. This is where Tahawur Hussain Rana used to sit. David Coleman Headley used this First World Immigration, the name of this office, to spread terror, not just in India, but also in Denmark. Devon Avenue is called Chicago's Chandni Chowk. But here at Chicago's Chandni Chowk, now there is genuine fear that undercover agents would be seen in larger numbers.
Upon landing in India, a contact of Tahawur Rana arranged conveyance, lodging and other logistics for David Headley. In June 2007, with the assistance of Tahawur Rana, David Headley applied for an extension of his visa to India. Rana communicated extensively with Headley during his India visits. Tahawur Rana himself visited India between 13th and 21st November 2008, less than a week before 26/11 terror attacks. Apart from Mumbai, he travelled to Delhi, Agra, Ahmedabad, Cochin and Hapur. With his extradition, Pakistan's role has been nailed. Will it lead to action against mastermind Hafiz Saeed next? With Divyesh Singh and Nalini Sharma in Delhi. Bureau Report, India Today.
Getting Tahawur Rana is just the tip of the 26/11 iceberg, frankly. What about the real masterminds, those living under Pakistan's protection? The likes of Hafiz Saeed, Zaki-ur-Rehman, Lakhvi, the Pak Army officers who helped plan and execute the 26/11 attacks? Ankit Kumar with this story.
26/11 plotter Tahawur Rana has been extradited to India, but the main masterminds are still at large. David Coleman Headley, aka Daud Gilani, who surveyed 26/11 targets, conducted a GPS intelligence and boat recce before the terror attack. He was arrested by FBI in 2009 and turned star witness for US prosecution. Headley is currently under US Witness Protection Program and is likely given a new identity by US officials. His official public records have been wiped out and his current whereabouts are unknown. Hafiz Saeed, founder of terror outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba, that planned and executed the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Saeed was sentenced by Pakistani court, but lives at Johar town, Lahore, under heavy security. He survived an explosion in 2021 near his home. Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi, operational commander of LET during 26/11. Lakhvi trained and coordinated with the attackers as well as Headley. He recently was seen in a fitness video at Islamabad and has changed his name to Abu Wasi. 4 serving officers of Pakistan's ISI and 3 ex-officers of the Pakistani army were also part of the 2611 plot. Among them were Sajid Mir, Major Iqbal and Major Samir Ali, who were handlers of David Headley, Tahawur Rana and 2611 attackers. They remain free in Pakistan. Tahawur Rana is just the tip of the iceberg. Will India get its hand on the big fish? With Ankit Kumar in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So I'm joined on this show by a very high quality panel. I want to introduce first Mr. A.P. Singh, a well-known former director of the Central Bureau of Investigation. I have Vaisi Modi, crack investigator, has been Director General of the National Investigating Agency. We have Sushant Sareen, one of our foremost strategic affairs experts, and I have Rajita Kulkarni, who's a survivor of the 2611 attacks. I want to go across to A.P. Singh first. So I was looking at data supplied by India's Deputy Home Minister Nityanand Rai in the Parliament, which says there are 178 requests that have been made to countries across the world for extradition. 23 people have been extradited over the last 5 years, and with the US itself there are 65 requests for extradition. Now Tahawur Rana is one of the big high profile successes that the NIA and the CBI have had. And the question that everyone's asking is, when will we get the real masterminds, the likes of Lakhvi, the likes of Hafiz, Saeed, the ISI officers who are in Pakistan? Are we likely to get them, and can this be the first of many such successes?
Rahul, you're not going to get anybody from Pakistan. Let's be blunt and face facts. But yes, this is the most important extradition from the US, I think, ever. The only other one was Warren Anderson, who was wanted for that Bhopal gas tragedy. They refused. But this, we must give credit to the government, the investigating agencies, and particularly President Trump. I mean, he took an absolutely forceful view on this, and he said, no, we're sending him back. And I think this will actually give us the whole, the idea of the Pakistani deep state. Once we get this Rana, he will be properly interrogated. You know, Hadley was only a video conference. He had, the US had said that he had done a plea bargain, and they said, okay, we are not going to extradite you, we are not going to sentence you to death. And so he appeared before the Mumbai court in a video conference, and he was given approval status. So that is not, this time, actually he's going to be physically interrogated, personally by NIA and by so many agencies. So we will get to know the entire deep state, Pakistan deep state involvement in this conspiracy of the Bombay.
No, but how does this, according to you, Mr. Singh, materially impact this case? Because you're saying no one's likely to be sent back from Pakistan. It will give us a deeper sense of the Pak deep state. We already have a good sense of what happened during 2611. So explain to those watching right now, why is this such a big success? How does Tahawur Rana coming back to India materially impact the 2611 case?
You see, earlier Hadley had no, he was not physically being interrogated, so he could say anything he wanted. Kasab was only a foot soldier, so I don't think Kasab really knew everything that was going behind. But this fellow Rana knows the whole story. He would know everything about how this was planned, how it was executed, who were the conspirators. And I mean, it's obvious that Pakistan is not going to send these guys, but at least we know the whole story. I think that is very important. And also we've had a successful extradition of a main accused. This is, so far we've not really caught a main conspirator in this case. Now we have one. So I think that's very important. And as far as the extraditions are concerned, I mean, I'll only stick to terrorist cases. We had Abu Salem, who was a very big success in the Bombay blast cases from Europe. And after that, we've had nothing. I mean, they just don't extradite people so easily. In my time, I remember we tried very hard for Kim Davies, who is another terrorist, and he admitted that he had done the Purulia
Arms drop.
these arms droppings, but the Danish government just refused. The courts, he said it in court that I'm responsible, but they said that no, he'll be tortured here. The prison conditions are so bad, so they refused to extradite him. So to get this guy from the US, I think it's full credit to the Indian government, the investigating agencies, and of course President Trump.
No, so what's different between
is,
this case, AP Singh, and the others? How is it that we managed to get Rana and failed to get the others? Because with the US itself, there are 65 extradition requests.
No, because this is a terrorist case, and I think 10 US people were also killed in this blast. So I think, and Trump has taken a completely different view. He has taken a very forceful view on this subject. So that is why we've succeeded. Other cases may not be all of, I don't think there are any terrorist cases as such pending. These are all economic offenders, or they may be petty murders or something like that. So I think this has been a big achievement. You've got a mastermind of the Bombay terrorist attacks. And I think that is a big positive for us.
Sure.
Irrespective of the fact whether Pakistan ultimately, Pakistan is not going to extradite these people to India. That we all know.
Sure. Why see Modi? You've
This.
led the National Investigation Agency. This is a big success for the NIA. As someone who's seen this journey, how validated and vindicated do you feel, and how significant do you think? As Mr. Singh mentioned, the last big fish we got back was Abu Salem from Portugal, and after that we're getting Rana. How do they compare?
I think you should go in the background of formation of NIA. NIA was established after Mumbai attack, 26/11, and it was a matter of prestige for us to get this man to India. In this regard, in complete coordination with Ministry of External Affairs, with our political agency as well. We could, External Affairs, we could achieve this because of, we made it a point. In fact, in my meetings with my officers, I used to discuss this case very regularly, and we answered hundreds of queries of US government. I don't know whether you are aware, because in extradition proceedings, NIA cannot appear, or Government of India cannot appear. It is the US prosecution authorities, they appear in the court. So we had to first convince the US agencies about the evidence, adequacy of evidence and quality of evidence, as well as to convince them that it is a matter of terrorism, and there are other cases of terrorists also pending for extradition. But in this case, because of coordination at different levels, we could convince the US.
No, so AP Singh called him a mastermind of the 26/11 attacks. Is he an important field operative involved in the conspiracy, or would you also consider him a mastermind? As people try and recall what happened to them, try and focus on Rana's role, how significant a catch do you think this is, Mr. Modi?
No, it's a very significant catch, and he is one of the two masterminds. He was the person who initiated this conspiracy that this an immigration consultancy office can be set up in Mumbai, and in the garb of that consultancy office, they can make visits to different places in the country and target the locations and provide that effective information to their bosses in Pakistan, so that this heinous offense, this big terrorist crime could be committed. So his role is very important. And another important thing is Hadley has become a prover, and he has thrown this man under the bus that way. And now we expect that he will tell us the truth when our people will interrogate him. Because earlier they were together. Now he is on the other side of Hadley. So I think with the proper interrogation, we would be able to get a lot more information. Though, I mean, for
No,
last
but what
15
purpose
years,
is that information? I want to press you on this. Okay, so as Mr. Singh also said, we'll get more information about Pakistan's deep state. Explain to those watching, why is that useful? I mean, we already know that the Pakistan deep state is very messed up and that's enough for most people. Why from an investigative perspective is that important and consequential in your view?
no, I can understand that everybody knows that Pakistan is involved. But the problem is, we give dossiers and international body in the international bodies as well. But in now we hope that we will be able to give specific information about different actions done by them and the involvement of Pakistan, and Pakistan will be fully exposed. That is what we feel. Though, I mean, as Mr. Singh told, that we are not going to going to get Lakhvi or Hafiz Saeed, but we'll certainly be able to expose Pakistan more and more after interrogating Tahawur Rana.
So, Sushant Sareen, is this just about Tahawur Rana, or do you think there's a larger message here in terms of dealing with the new Trump administration? They've let Rana go, and could they help on the other extradition requests? Yeah, we've got 65 requests according to the Ministry of External Affairs just with the US. What does it mean for the other 65?
So, Rahul, I think we need to be able to distinguish between various cases. This is a very, very high-profile case. This is a case which became a cause célèbre around the world. It's an example of a terror attack which is used by intelligence agencies and security agencies around the world. Now, you can't lump this case with either a crime of financial nature or even a murder or even some of these Khalistani thugs who are in the US. That is one. Second, please remember that the kind of evidence and the kind of focus that not only the government of India, but I think, and the cooperation we got from the American side, from the American security agencies, which had gathered a lot of evidence against this guy, would have also helped in ensuring that he got extradited. Plus, of course, there was a political will in the US to extradite this guy. So I think that is something which we have to keep in mind, number one. Number two, let's also be very clear about a couple of things. You know, you were asking the two gentlemen, Mr. Modi and Mr. Singh, about what new will come out of it. So yes, of course, we will get some more information, etc., etc. A lot of it we already have. But I would suggest that, maybe this is an opportunity for India. One, just the fact that this guy is being brought to justice is a very good thing. But importantly, once you get, you can reopen the case, and perhaps we have to have some provision in law whereby we can prosecute in absentia terrorists like Hafiz Saeed, Sajid Mir, and those ISI thugs in Pakistan. We follow a kind of a procedure. Our courts should be competent enough to pronounce punishment on them, and then you leave it to the security agencies on how that punishment is to be meted out to those guys wherever they are, in whichever corner of the world they are. I think we need to go down that road, because if we are not going to do it, then terrorist states like Pakistan will continue to harbor these guys. Now, in your report earlier, you were talking about what has happened to Lakhvi, what has happened to Hafiz Saeed or Sajid Mir. Sajid Mir, the Pakistanis, they're so unscrupulous, they had declared him dead. They had said that he had already been buried. Finally, when the FATF leaned on them, they dug him out from the grave. Within a week, they sentenced him for, I think, 8 years or 10 years. Nobody knows which jail he is in. Everybody knows that Hafiz Saeed has also been sentenced on terror finance charges, but he's not in jail anymore. So clearly the Pakistanis use these trials when they are forced to as an eyewash. So I think that's not punishment enough. And India needs to have some system of meting out punishment to these people under a legal process. Whether that punishment is meted out to them in an overt or covert manner, that's another matter. That the government and the security agencies can decide. But at least, as far as lawfare is concerned, you would have covered all the ends. And I would imagine that this is a golden opportunity for India to go down that road. And it's not just about Pakistan we are talking about. Let's talk about Bangladesh. There are terrorists in Bangladesh who the Bangladeshi courts or the current regime in Bangladesh has let go. These are people who pose a clear and present danger in India, who have carried out terror attacks in India. How can they be allowed to operate freely, unfettered, in our neighborhood and create problems and murder and mayhem in India. So I think this is a good opportunity to go down that road. And plus, finally, I think, Rahul, the fact that, and I think the government deserves compliments for what it has done, that it kept a laser focus on this guy. They ensured and they negotiated diplomatically to get him back. That's good. But I think this is also an opportunity to keep the people in this country alive to what had happened on the 26th, 2008. Because we have memories of goldfish, and nobody should be allowed to forget what the Pakistanis have done, not only on 26/11, but in the train blast, in the Mumbai blast, in a number of other blasts in which thousands of people have been killed, and you can never forgive them or forget what they have done.
No, absolutely. The fact that, memory was fading around, the specific role of Rana, Coleman Headley, the likes of Lakhvi and Hafiz Saeed, it brings attention back to that case. We can't forget that. Rajita Kulkarni is someone who would never possibly forget what happened, because she's one of the survivors of the attacks. And ma'am, as somebody who lived through that ordeal, what does it mean to you, the fact that this guy is coming back after so much effort going into his extradition proceedings?
Yes, thank you, Rahul, firstly for making this subject a prime time discussion.
Of course.
Is one of the previous speakers, I think Sushantji, said this is something which we should as a country never forgive and never forget. And I think I sit here today in front of you not just as a survivor, but as a testament of the resilience, grit, and the spirit that binds us as Indians. And today is a big day. I think it's a day of gratitude. It's a day of catharsis. 17 years hence, I think with a great amount of diplomatic effort and very strategic focus, our government has achieved this today. I would like to really thank the government of India and the Supreme Court of the US and the President of the United States. In February, Mr. Trump said to Prime Minister Modi that he will extradite Rana, and in a short while from then, this has happened, and it is him who announced it. So it is a matter of not just a strategic achievement for us, it's a very symbolic achievement, and this was not an ordinary event that happened. It was a 72-hour terrorist attack, 3.5 days. The city of Mumbai, which is the commercial pulse of our country, was held to siege by these 8 or 10, we don't know the exact number of terrorists. And, they just entered our nation like this. And I think today's event, this extradition, is a very strong message that we as a country are not a pushover. You cannot just enter our country and do terrorist activities. We are a top 5 economy of the world. We aspire to be a top 3 economy of the world. We cannot be pushed over. So personally for me, and I think for all those who martyred their lives, sacrificed their lives, the families, the survivors, and for everyone else as a country, I think it's a huge, extraordinary achievement.
Okay. Yes, you're absolutely right. I want to spend some time with Vice Modi on what happens next. I know there are 2 jails in Delhi and Mumbai that have been instructed to prepare for Rana's arrival. Even in Tihar jail, there's a security assessment of what kind of cell will he be in. There's CCTV monitoring, inbuilt bathroom, surveillance of all activities. So what kind of conditions is he likely to be in, and who goes in, questions him, and how long is that likely to continue for, sir? Mr. Modi?
Frankly speaking, I don't know the specific details where he will be kept. Sure. But I can assure you that there is no danger to his security. We will, Government of India and Delhi Police will ensure that he is given foolproof security and fair trial. These are the benchmarks of Indian judicial law administration system, and I am sure that there is no danger to his security, and he will get fair trial.
No, sure. No, so Mr. AP Singh, give us some insights into what happens in this case from here. He's been brought back, that is consequential. How long do you think this interrogation is typically, I mean, I know specifics are difficult to come by, but typically likely to go on for, and then what happens next?
See, now I'm not sure about what the new laws say, but earlier you could get him for 14 days custody. So, when you apply for custody, you get him for maximum is 14 days. And it can be, broken into pieces. Like you can take him for 3 days, give him back, then take him again. But 14 days was the maximum. Now I think it is. I think the number of days has been increased under the new laws. So we'll have to see how long. And there will be sustained 24-hour interrogation of this guy. And as Mr. Modi also said, the main lesson from this is we'll be exposing the Pakistan deep state internationally. I mean, you may not get these guys back. You may not get Lakhvi and Hafiz Saeed back in India for trial, but at least you are exposing the entire Pakistani deep state. And I'm sure he will sing like a canary. Once,
why do you think he'll sing like a canary?
He's going to come out with him.
Why do you feel that way? I mean, the other thing is he's so hardened that he doesn't reveal very much. Why do you think he'll sing?
No. I think he's basically a doctor, and he has an immigration agency. He has been helping them. He's not a hardened. At least my impression is he's probably not a hardened criminal. He is very anti-India. He wants to, but he's not a trained terrorist as such. So I'm sure the Indian authorities will be able to bring.
So let's take a look at some of the other accused. And as I said earlier, from the US itself, we have 65 extradition requests. I want to take you through some of the important names. So there's Anmol Bishnoi. He's Lawrence Bishnoi's brother. He's accused in the Baba Siddiqui murder. He was arrested in the US in November 24 for using fake documents. India has requested his extradition. Then there is Goldie Brar, Satinderjeet Singh, mastermind of the Sidhu Moosewala murder. He's a UAPA designated terrorist based in California since 2017. We've requested his extradition as well. There is Ramachandran Vishwanathan, founder of Devas Multimedia, accused of money laundering and corruption. He's an economic offences offender. Then there is Ami Nirav Modi, wife of Nirav Modi, accused in the Punjab National Bank fraud-related case. There's Nelson Kambata, chairperson of Kambata Aviation, again accused of financial fraud. He's under ED probe. There's James Larry Alford, accused in a case of outraging the modesty of women. There's Sahil Kumar, accused in a forged passport case. Now, Sushant Sareen, what more does India need to do to build on this momentum? Of course, 26/11 is an outlier in terms of how outrageous the attack was. But Anmol Bishnoi, Goldie Brar, these are important people to get back. Your suggestions in terms of what we should do to move the extradition needle?
Look, I think it depends on what is the quality of evidence that has been produced by India while we have sought their extradition. And there have been times when, Rahul, to be quite honest, and with all due respect to the two senior gentlemen sitting on the show, the quality of evidence has left a lot to be desired. Because look, it's not the evidence that will hold in an Indian court. It's an evidence that will hold in a foreign court so that you can press for the extradition. And that is where...
No, but that's a chicken and egg situation. I don't agree with you to the extent that a lot of the planning, if it happens in Pakistan, say in some warehouse, outhouse in Karachi, and you've got officers here who are not allowed to go there, Pakistan's not cooperating, there are practical problems in compiling the evidence that you're asking for.
Rahul, I'm not talking about the guys involved in 26/11. About that, I'm very clear what we need to do. Whatever evidence you have, you hold trials in absentia, you sentence those guys so that you have the legal power to bump those guys off and administer punishment to them. And then you leave it to, the unknown gunmen to carry out the task of meting out the punishment. Okay? That is one way of doing things. The other way of doing it is that you keep pressing the Pakistanis at a diplomatic level, that there will be no negotiations, nothing happening with you guys. We will punish you wherever we can until and unless you hand over these characters. That's the second way of doing it. I don't think much is going to come out of the second way. They haven't even released Dawood Ibrahim, who they've kept in protective custody for so many years, for decades now, right? But I'm talking about the other extradition requests, for example, Anmol Bishnoi or this guy Goldie Brar. What is the quality of evidence that has been produced? Is the evidence compelling enough to force the courts and get their extradition through? How do you close whatever are the loopholes? How do you get the best possible legal assistance inside the US to press for your case? In this particular case, in the case of Tahawur Rana, I would imagine that no effort and no expense would have been spared by the government of India to get his extradition. In fact, they would have pulled all the plugs with the American counterparts in the security agencies to make sure that, they got all the cooperation we required. That's not going to happen in the cases of maybe some gangsters or maybe, you know, in the Devas case, I think I myself would have serious questions on the culpability of the guy.
Sure.
Okay, and there was a certain political element to it. Some of the other cases, there has been a certain political element to it. And they really would not hold up in any court of law, even out here, if those guys were to come back. So I think you need to look at each case individually, but to the extent that the government of India put in the kind of effort and the kind of expense and ensured that this guy came back to India, I think they need to be lauded for that.
Okay, I want to go across to India Today's contributor in Washington, D.C., Rohit Sharma. He now joins us on this broadcast. Rohit, explain what you've understood of the process within the United States and the role of President Trump in ensuring that Tahawur Rana actually comes back to India. This is one of our big achievements after the Abu Salem case, where a high-profile accused has been brought back. How did the United States push through on this?
Well, look, I think a lot depends on the priorities of the administration, right? I mean, I think India has been bringing this up since, I don't know when, since 2009, I think the first time he was arrested. But I think a lot had dependent on the progress both the countries have made over the years. I mean, yes, President Trump gets to, you know, take the final call and saying, yes, we'll do this. But I think there have been building blocks all along. And I think when this was presented to, you know, to the incoming administration, as far as I know, I think they were the ones to move it forward with and said, yes, we will do it if the courts allow it to happen. We also know that he's exhausted all, you know, his resources here in America. So there was nothing left as such. But allowing this extradition also helps Donald Trump and the Republican administration to send a deep message saying that they are willing to work with India on issues that matter to both the countries, despite the fact that there's a lot of disagreement, especially in other areas that as we are seeing right now. So I think, you know, he took the final call. The administration understood that it's important to build friendship and sort of send out a message that America is willing to work with India in multiple other ways. But at the same time, I think he'd exhausted all his resources here. So honestly, they didn't have a choice but to take this action.
Okay, I want to put a couple of final questions to AP Singh before we wrap up. Mr. Singh, can this be a precursor for other bigger achievements? Or do you think each case is different just because you know, Rohit spoke about the determination of the administration and the mood within the administration. What can India do to try and capitalize on that?
Let me explain this. There is a judicial process, and like Mr. Sureen very rightly said, you have to be able to produce enough evidence in courts which are acceptable in the US. So you have to work on that, and ultimately you will get success. Now, unlike Europe, where they point blank refuse to extradite anybody, and you've seen that for the last 10 years, we've had so many high profile cases. They don't, in the end, they say that, you know, the Indian conditions are very inhospitable. The prisons, they'll be tortured, they'll be killed, whatever. So they don't extradite. And in the US and also in Europe, you have to go through a process. So I think you will get extraditions from the US. There are examples of people have been extradited. It is just a matter of time. It's a process, and you must present cogent evidence. You know, you must have the evidence, which is that the offense in India is an offense in the US. There may be so many economic offenses which may not be offenses in the US, for which we are wanting extradition, and they're not offenses there. So then extradition won't happen. So you have to first produce the US laws against the person that yes, he is an offender under the US law as well, and then you may get success. Yeah. So you have to really work on it. It's a process.
You know, you all been super sharp in your insights. The fact is, India's investigative agencies often get pilloried for their inability to get these big scalps, get the big terrorists or the conmen back home. This is one of our rare achievements, one of the big silver linings. And I hope that we're able to build on this and get more of these crooks and more of these terrorists back. Of course, as our guest said, it requires a lot of effort, painstaking effort, putting that research together, putting the investigation together, and convincing courts in the US about and in Europe about the need for this. AP Singh, YC Modi, for your work and for your insights. Thank you, Sushant Sareen and Rajita Kulkarni, for joining me as well. Our teams are covering Rana's return to India very, very closely. You can catch our coverage all through the night and tomorrow right here on India Today. I'm slipping into a break. When we come back, India Today special investigation reveals how sex determination tests and female feticide are still rampant in Haryana. Details coming up on the other side of a quick break. It was 10 years ago that Prime Minister Modi launched the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Abhiyan. The goal was to improve the sex ratio by at least 2 points every year. Today, the campaign seems to have hit a wall. In India today, special investigation has revealed the illegal network that has turned gender tests and female feticide into a thriving business. Watch this special report by our correspondent, Shreya Chatterjee.
10 years after Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the iconic Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaign to improve the skewed sex ratio in Haryana and other North Indian states, the noble mission, after some initial success, seems to be faltering. In 2024 alone, 5,16,402 children were born in Haryana, of which only 47.64% were girls. The sex ratio, once a beacon of promise, has plummeted from 923 in 2019 to 909 in March 2025. In 2015, there were 876 females per 1,000 males in Haryana. The sex ratio hit a high of 923 females per 1,000 males in 2019. This is why victims like Pooja Soni continue to seek justice. Married in 2015, the year the Beti Bachao slogan was coined, Pooja's firstborn was a girl child. She was then forced to undergo sex determination test during her subsequent pregnancies. Early this year, when she refused to abort and gave birth to her third baby child, she received a divorce notice from her husband.
क्लिनिक था उस पे और जिस टाइम पे चेकअप के लिए लेके गए मेरे को बोले कि पहले चेकअप करके मेरे को बाहर निकाल दिया उस टाइम पे बोले कि तू बाहर चली जा 2 मिनट के लिए फिर मेरे हस्बैंड को बोला कि बेटी है बता दिया फिर उसको फिर द्वार फिर तीसरी बार फिर लेके गए दूसरी बार मतलब लेके गए फिर बोला कि फिर भी बेटी है तो आपके ऊपर 3 बार यूएसजी हाँ जी उस टाइम पे बोला कि घर आने के बाद बोले कि बेटी मेरी सास को बोला फिर बोला कि इसका ना मेरे साथ डिवोर्स कराते कि इसके तो बेटी बेटी हो रही है अब तो फिर भी मैं कोई बात नहीं मगर फिर बोला कि अपने घर जाके सफाई करवाया मैंने मना कर दिया मैम फिर वो मारपीट लगी करने फिर 6ठा महीना में फिर मारपीट लग के करने तब तुमको मारते थे हाँ जी मैम जब से चेकअप किया ना 4थे महीने में चेकअप करवाया इसने जब से लगे थे फिर ज्यादा और मारपीट कर गुस्सा तो बहुत है मैम सजा तो होनी चाहिए मैम बहुत ज्यादा होनी
The Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act, or PCPNDT Act, was enacted in 1994. Its aim was to combat female feticide by stopping the misuse of prenatal diagnostic technology for sex determination. Under this law, any attempt to determine or disclose the sex of an unborn child can get you up to 3 years in jail for a first offence and 5 years for repeat violations. Yet, despite these penal provisions, enforcement of the law remains weak. And the biggest factor driving these illegal abortions is the societal attitude. Social activists say Haryana is still a long, long way from gender equality and justice.
आज भी बेटों की लालसा में ऐसी महिलाएं हैं जिन्होंने पूरा अपना शरीर को कुपोषित कर दिया है एक बेटे के चक्कर में 7-7 बेटियां। आज के टाइम पे मेरे पास मतलब मैं खुद फील्ड में जब जाती हूँ, महिलाओं से जब बात करती हूँ, वो इस टॉपिक पे बात भी नहीं करना चाहती हैं कि आपके पास तो आपको क्या पता कितना सामना करना पड़ता है रिश्तेदारों का, बेटा नहीं है मेरे पास। वो 6-6, 7-7 कॉन्टिन्यूसली 1 by 1 बच्चे ऐसे पैदा करे जा रहे हैं और उससे उनका शरीर, उनका बॉडी बिल्कुल जो खत्म हो रहा है वो उनको आइडिया ही नहीं है।
India Today's special investigation team went undercover to the low sex ratio districts of Haryana. What we found was disturbing, shocking, and absolutely real. Our first stop was Hisar, about 230 kilometers from Delhi. Here, we were told about a network so brazen that repeated police actions against touts and illegal abortion rackets had only temporarily halted their operations. In Hisar, one man, Dr. Anantram, an accused in 5 sex determination offences, had been to jail and yet managed to contest the Haryana elections on a Jan Nayak Janata Party ticket. This just proves how entrenched this illegal network is in Haryana.
Now that we've seen the stark reality of Haryana's gender crisis and the heavy toll it takes on families, let's dive deeper. In the next segment, we pull back the curtains on the mechanics of this grim trade, the people behind the illegal sex determination network and their secret operation.
Who are the people behind the illegal sex determination rackets and how do they operate? Watch part 2 of this India Today special investigation.
With the help of our contacts in Hisar, we made a breakthrough. We were given the details of a woman named Usha at the Hisar Civil Hospital. Usha worked as a health worker in AIDS prevention, but behind that facade was a key player and a trusted tout in the illegal sex test business. To expose this racket, we went undercover, posing as a family from Panipat. We dialed Usha for an appointment, saying we were desperate to ascertain the gender of our unborn child.
हेलो
उषा जी।
हाँ जी।
उषा जी, मैं गौरव बोल रहा हूँ। हम दरअसल हमको यूएसजी कराना था अपनी पत्नी का।
अच्छा जी।
तो मैं आया था सिविल अस्पताल। तो सिविल अस्पताल
कौन सा अल्ट्रासाउंड करवाना चाह रहे?
मुझे वही 2 बेटी हो चुकी है, हम तीसरा बार में चांस देना चाह रहे थे बेटी का।
अच्छा, नंबर किसने दिया सर?
नहीं, अस्पताल के बाहर ही मिले थे, एक कर्मचारी थे।
अपने सिविल हॉस्पिटल से?
हाँ, सिविल अस्पताल हिसार।
Convinced about her background, Usha finally agreed to facilitate the test. She spoke in a business-like tone, explaining the cold economics of the illegal business.
अगर रंगीन वाला का करवाओ तो उसमें तो 2 लाख रुपए लग गए हैं।
रंगीन वाला और इसमें फर्क क्या है?
फर्क ज्यादा
क्या है, मतलब समझ में
फर्क लो है। रंगीन वाले में पूरा टक्का मतलब
कलर है क्या?
मतलब कलर होता है।
अच्छा।
From Hisar to the farthest corners of Haryana, the price for deciding the fate of a fetus ranges between 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. And Usha was only the tip of the iceberg. She agreed to meet us in person to seal the deal.
धोखाधड़ी बोतल दे दी, ठीक है ना। मुंबई धोखाधड़ी है भी, कोना पर कुछ बोल देते हैं या कोई रिकॉर्डिंग कर लेते हैं, तो इस वजह से मैंने कभी मैं मिलना चाहती हूँ। आपको क्षेत्र आके जे यूनिवर्सिटी है, 3rd गेट है।
हाँ, वहाँ मिल लेना,
वहाँ उतर लेना 3rd गेट पे। 3rd गेट पे उतर के हमारे पास फोन लगा लियो। हाँ। ये दीदी पास मिला लिया, मेरे पास मिला लिया, अपने हथियार मिलेंगे वहाँ।
आप दोनों यहाँ।
Talking to Usha, we also learned this was not just a gender test; it was a full package deal.
लड़की बता देगी तो आपके आगे पूरा पेशेंटा दिखवाऊंगी भैया, काट बाड़ के बच्चे को नहीं दिखवाऊंगी। पूरा बच्चा डिलीवरी करवा के पूरा बच्चे की फोटो दिखाऊंगी। लड़का हो गया वाह वाह। 1 महीने 8 दिन होते हैं ना, या 10 दिन के भीतर मैं दवाई देती हूँ, ठीक है। आप मेरे घर आना पड़ेगा अपने, 12 क्वार्टर गली नंबर 13 में मेरा मकान है। फिर पूरा एड्रेस लिख लो, नंबर लिख लो मेरा, ठीक है?
So how does this racket thrive despite a strict law? First, it is difficult to track down slippery touts and secretive clinics. The other factor is new technology. Ultralight USG scanners controlled through mobile phones, smuggled in through the porous Nepal border, enable criminals to conduct illegal sex tests anywhere, from rented rooms to moving vehicles. To pin down such underground networks, the PCP and DT raiding teams mostly rely on decoy patients. We spoke to one such decoy, Neelam, who has risked her life to expose rampant feticide in Haryana.
डेली तो कम से कम 5-7 तो आराम से करवा रहे हैं। जो पहले जितनी बुजुर्ग हैं, पहले की औरतें हैं, लेडीज हैं, दादियाँ हैं, सास हैं, उनको सब ये चाहता है कि हमारे घर में एक लड़का हो, पोता हो, कि जो बेटा है वो वंश चलाएगा आगे। मेरे साथ भी ऐसे हुआ था। मेरी 3 बेटियाँ हैं। मुझे प्रेशराइज किया गया था कि करवा तो मैंने नहीं करवाया था। सास तो मेरी अब भी कहती है कि तूने जानबूझ के बेटियाँ पैदा की है, तेरे को पता तो तूने अबॉर्शन नहीं करवाया। लड़कियाँ पैदा कर दी है, अब हमारे परिवार का नाम चलेगा ही नहीं, तूने उसका नाम ही खत्म कर दिया बिल्कुल ही।
The illegal sex test racket is not confined to Haryana alone. It is as rampant in Punjab, Rajasthan, Delhi and neighbouring Uttar Pradesh. During our investigation, we also managed to get clinching proof of an illegal sex determination clinic operating in western Uttar Pradesh. The video was captured 4 to 5 years ago by the Haryana PCP and DT team and is part of the case evidence.
आप ही बोल रहे, मुझे क्या पता लगेगा?
ये लंबी लंबी टांगे हैं, ये कोले हैं, ये कोले हैं।
अच्छा,
बीच में यहाँ पे आते हैं। यहाँ 3 निशान होने चाहिए। ठीक।
हाँ। अगर लड़का होता। अच्छा, बस। तो लड़की है मतलब आपके हिसाब से? पक्की बात है।
The doctor seen in this hidden camera footage was arrested but walked out on bail. He's perhaps back to his business. Our investigation also led us an accused under the PCP and DT Act who is now out on bail. Rakesh Ahuja, a known offender, was arrested after raid in Hisar village where he was caught conducting an illegal ultrasound procedure along with 2 others. In a bid to escape, Ahuja jumped off the roof of the house, breaking his leg in the process.
मैं गया, मैं तो मेरे पास यही बाइक है और यही बाइक ही उसकी। ठीक है।
ये कब की बात है?
ये आई थिंक बात है मेरे ख्याल से 2017-18 की बात है।
टाइम हो गया।
तो यार तुम चले अंदर वो कर रहे हैं, मैं बाहर खड़ा हूँ, 70-80 पुलिस वाले आ गए। अच्छा बताऊंगा।
Despite his injury and legal troubles, Ahuja continues to run a makeshift clinic. He denies his involvement in the illegal ultrasounds test, claiming he was merely accompanying a friend when the raid happened. Yet, in the same breath, he complains that he never got paid for all his troubles on that fateful day.
आज भी मैंने उस लड़के से आज भी मैंने पेमेंट लेनी है। आप मेरे खुद के पर्सनली बाहर थे।
When asked how his friend managed to escape, Ahuja claimed that the police took 10 lakh rupees bribe to let him go.
रुकने का नाम नहीं। ना भाई कोई रुकने का नाम नहीं। पैसे बोले थे भाई उन्होंने 10 लाख रुपए। मेरे पास नहीं है 10 लाख, सीधी सी बात।
10 लाख रुपए किसने बोले थे?
मतलब जो वो पुलिस वाले थे जो।
अच्छा खैर 10 लाख ये सब यही हो रहा है।
10 लाख दे दे।
जितने भी लोगों के पास दे दे रेट के नाम
हमारे संरक्षण में काम। बस
एक्सटॉर्शन चल रहा है रेट के नाम। तो इसीलिए काम नहीं बंद हुआ है ना।
काम बंद नहीं हुआ है।
Ahuja further revealed how notorious operators like Dr. Anantram continue to run their business without fear. According to him, Anantram, who is currently in jail, still manages to organize ultrasound procedures from behind bars.
Anantram बरवाड़े वाला है।
तो जेल चला गया तो भी।
नहीं वो बाहर है फिलहाल। परसों तो उसने किसी का अल्ट्रासाउंड किया है। फिर से?
अरे फिर आप भी जेल गया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर पे?
अरे मैम परसों उसने किसी का अल्ट्रासाउंड किया और मेरे पास रिपोर्ट आई है इस चीज की, बोले डॉक्टर बरवाड़ा करवाया जो। ठीक है यार, मेरा तो कोई मतलब ही नहीं है यार बरवाड़ा का नाम लेके।
एक सेकंड, अल्ट्रासाउंड मतलब नॉर्मल अल्ट्रासाउंड?
नॉर्मल अल्ट्रासाउंड।
हाँ मैं वही कह रही हूँ।
नॉर्मल नहीं।
लिंक जब करवाया फिर से? नो। You watched how ruthless and cold the people operating these underground clinics are. The story now takes an even more personal turn as I go in as a decoy in a Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao raid. Stay tuned for a raid that has been caught on camera.
This is where I wrap up the news track tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, bye. Good night.